Hello, Power Up Nation. I am Patcouncil, and welcome to my YouTube page. I want to talk a little bit about understanding power, love, and a sound mind, because this is the key to goal achievement. When you can understand power, love, and a sound mind, then it's going to make things a lot easier for you. That doesn't mean you won't have obstacles along the way, but power, love, and a sound mind will definitely help you get beyond the obstacles so that you can continue to move forward. And so I want to talk more about that. This is also the key to you building your magnificent life. For those of you that have listened to my audio podcast, Designing Your Life Today, I'm always talking about doing life with power, knowing that you're built by design to win. And I'm always explaining that you can build and live your magnificent dream life. Well, this will give you some insight as to how to make that happen and why it is so important for you to not only know that you're built by design to win, but to understand what you're made of so that you can use it to win. So with that being said, this comes from the scripture, for God did not give us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. This is from 2 Timothy, 1st chapter, 7th verse. I want to tell you on a personal note, this verse has gotten me through a lot in my life. No matter how long you live, you're going to have some ups and downs. You're going to encounter obstacles throughout your life. But at the same time, that doesn't stop you from wanting to have more, or wanting you to have a dream life, or wanting you to serve your purpose and step out there and really do what you've been called to do. I mean, I don't know if any of you guys have that kind of itch, or you're always saying to yourself, you know what? I know I can do this, or I know this is my purpose. I know I'm called to do this. I know there's more to me than this. Well, this that we're going to talk about today, I'm hoping it will help you, and it will give you some insight such that you will not give up, and that you will realize that, you know what? I can have a magnificent life, even though there's a lot of uncertainty going on in our world right now. When you become anchored in a certain way of thinking, a certain way of being, then it becomes easier for you to go to the next level and for you to fulfill that purpose. The more you understand, the more you are in control of your destiny. So let's get into this and talk a little bit about power, love, and a sound mind, because these are the most powerful things that God has given us. And so whether you're a success or not, it is truly up to you. You have to make decisions that will take you in the direction that you desire to go. And sometimes that's going to require work. And okay, most of the time it's going to require work, but it's also going to require that you look outside yourself in terms of, or I should say, step outside of yourself in terms of being so caught up on the idea that you're not capable, or that someone else is in control of who you are and what you become. You have to take control of your own destiny if you want to build a magnificent life, if you want to have a powerful life, if you want to be excited about your life, especially if you want to make sure that you follow through on your purpose. So let's get into this. So we have power. So why do we need power? Because this is one of the things that God gave us. He did not give us a spirit of fear. And unfortunately, people focus on fear more than perhaps is necessary, or I want to say more than we should. Okay, I just said it. So we focus on the fear of things because uncertainty can cause us to fear. But sometimes when I'm giving live presentations, and that means face to face, and there's a group and we're talking about uncertainty, I let them know life, it may seem more uncertain than ever now, but there has always been uncertainty in our lives. You don't know how the day is going to play out for you sometimes. You get up, you have the best plan, and then all of a sudden something happens that you were not expecting. And then you're thinking, why is this kind of thing happening to me? Or you get really upset, But here's the thing. That's uncertainty that's happening, but this is where your power comes in. Your power is the strength to overcome any obstacle that's preventing you from succeeding, that's preventing you from moving forward. Okay, each person has a purpose. Each person has a calling. And I can assure you that that purpose and calling is not something where you are to behave in a manner less than how God intended you to be, because we're made in his image. The thing about power is when confronted with an obstacle, power helps you to overcome or even avoid certain types of obstacles. It helps you avoid doing things that are counterproductive to your success. And you say, well, if that's the case, how come so many people fall into the trap of doing things that makes them less successful or stresses them out? It's because they don't understand their power. They don't understand that they are built by design to win. So throughout this YouTube page, I am going to share information that will help people understand who they are, how they're made, and really to put more attention on the purpose and calling that God has on your life. And the beautiful part about this is that if you run a business, as I run a business, I have a business. And so if you own a business, that business, if it's a part of your calling, okay, then when you know certain things, you're going to step up and do the right thing and do what it takes. So with that being said, power is your strength to overcome any obstacle that's preventing you from success. Now, here's the thing. You have power, love, and a sound mind. So when you have power, the other thing is that it allows you to take control of your mind. It allows you to have that sound mind. Sound mind is connected to discipline. Doing the things that we need to do to get to where it is we're desired to be, but also to do the things that we've been called to do so we can get to where we're supposed to be. We all have a destiny. We're all here. And if you stop and think about it, as a matter of fact, I want to encourage you to think about it for a minute. What gifts or talents do you have that you've been pushing to the side or that you've been denying? What are the words or the thoughts that you allow to run through your mind where you're saying to yourself, I know I can do better, or I know I'm called to do more than this, or there's more to my life than this. Think about that. And on a sheet of paper, okay, you can put it on your cell phone if you like, but I said take the time to actually write it down, to fully engage with your thought process and jot it down. What is that thing? What is it that you're called to be? Now, I want to say this, in order for you to really use the power that you have and use it effectively, then you have to have a strong connection to your spirit. If any of you have listened to my podcast, Designing Your Life Today, I talk about the 4 power cores, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. But it's very important for you to have that connection with your spirit. When you have that connection to your spirit, then all of a sudden you will begin to see and feel how powerful you really are. What a great gift God has given us all. The sad part about it is we turn that power over to other people, whether it's a spouse, whether it's a person who's not our spouse, but it's a relationship that we're allowing to control our lives, or whether it is listening to every politician and believing what they say. And I'm not saying that they're not telling the truth. Some of them, well, they aren't. Okay. But instead of just simply believing what they say, we don't rely on what God has given us. So you think about that. Where are you transferring your power to? Who are you allowing to use your power? You do understand that if you continue to, let's say, give your power away, the more you give it away, and if you notice that, you regenerate, but the more you continue to give it away, the more powerful the person who's receiving it, the more powerful they become. Okay, the more dominant they become in your life, the more of a presence they have in your life, no matter what the situation is, politician, relationships, it could be a medical professional. So the more you give that power away, but that power is yours to use for a purpose and for a calling, and to allow you to get beyond those obstacles that may prevent you, the obstacles that perhaps try and turn you into a victim. And I can assure you, if you are listening to this, you are no one's victim, but you have to make a decision that I'm going to tap into my power. Well, we're not going to go deeply into that today, but we will on coming episodes. So your power, because you have a sound mind, those two, when you put those two together, it allows you to actually connect more with your spirit. And this is so great because it's kind of like a circle, if you will. The more you connect with your spirit, the more powerful you become. The more powerful you become, the more you have a sound mind because you're stronger. So power is something that's extremely important. We hear a lot about power. Oh, he's a powerful man. She's a powerful woman. You know what? People in that sense are powerful because, well, people are either giving them the power, their power away to them, or these people recognize how powerful and capable they are, and they're not shy about using it. Now, whether they use it for good or not good, well, that's another story. But the bottom line is they have a kind of power and they're using it. You will want to start using yours as well. This is the beginning of you deciding that you are going to build this magnificent life. So that's a little bit about power. All right. So I want to talk about sound mind. I'm probably going to save love for last. Okay. But let's talk a little bit about sound mind, and I might bounce around a little bit. I don't know. But when it comes to you having a sound mind, it is very important for you to have a sound mind, because if you go back to your power and you're giving someone your power, you're giving that power away. Here's the thing about that. That leads you to a kind of instability. It leads you to emotional turmoil, which ultimately leads to emotional conflict. And at that point, you are no longer operating with a sound mind. So it is very important that you understand what it means to have a sound mind. Well, at this point, I'm going to interject the concept of love, because love, we have power, love, and a sound mind. Well, in order for you to kind of regain your stability, you have to come from a position of love. Love is the key to all of it. The Bible tells you that God is love. And so we all have that ability. He's given us that power. Remember, power, love, and a sound mind. So love is the key. Now, I want to say this. In order for you to even activate your love, it is there in you. But in order for you to activate your love such that it is a benefit, not just to you, but to those around you, those people whose lives that you are going to either come in contact with, or you're going to eventually touch their lives, because they're going to see something in you and they're going to see how you perform. But I want to say this, your love, it's very difficult for you to activate that kind of love if you spend time in strife, if you spend time being full of hate, and also if you spend time judging other people. Okay. So the more you hate or you're in strife and you judge, well, that affects your sound mind. Okay, so see, I am bouncing around a little bit, but as you can see, they're all connected. So it really affects your sound mind. You start to come up with reasons as to why you won't forgive a person, or why you're never going to forgive them, or what's wrong with people. We look at everything that's wrong with people, while at the same time not looking at areas of our own lives that perhaps we could stand to correct and make adjustments. So think about that when it comes to love, because one thing about love will not only help you overcome, let's say, some of those unpleasant things or unkind things or things that are counterproductive. It will not only help you, but when you can activate it, it could possibly help someone who you are connected to, or someone that you're going to come in contact with, when you can operate from that position of love. Okay. Because you know what about it? The thing about a sound mind, if you are not of a sound mind, then you know what happens? What happens, and you're constantly judging, and there's no love, coming from you. A lot of times, the group that you're surrounded with, they're the same way. And you all kind of go down together, if you will, not down in a bad way, but down in the sense that the things that you desire to accomplish the most, you have just opened the door for fear. You see, something has to take that space. It's either love. If there's love, fear can't come in. But if there's judgment and hate and strife, now you've opened the door for fear because there's no love. That space is currently vacant. So fear steps in and your life goes in a direction that you never thought it would go. And so these are things that I can talk about because I can look back and see the times when I feared in my life and how it did put me on the wrong road. Okay. But then when I came back, because power allows you to avoid or overcome these obstacles or overcome going in the wrong direction. Your power allows you to get back on track, and it puts you back on track. And then you can start to see how amazing and magnificent you really are as a human being. And you can recognize that you are here, in fact, to do life with power, that you are built by design to win, and that the very things that you desire to bring into your life, the very life that you desire to live, that you can, in fact, have that life. So a little bit more about a sound mind, and then we're going to talk a little bit more about love. So when it comes to a sound mind, that means that you're going to activate your discipline as well. And with that discipline, your sound mind gives you the discipline not to just go along with any thought, not to just go along with whatever you hear on the television or whatever you hear on the news or whatever mean gossip that you hear your friends saying, or whatever negative conclusion that one person is drawn about another person. Your sound mind won't allow you to go along with that thought. You see, you will actually have the wisdom to question things. So having a sound mind is extremely important. This is what allows you to make wiser decisions, and you won't just go with everybody's flow. Contrary to popular belief, we are not all here to think the same and be the same, in the sense that if someone's going in the wrong direction because we don't question it, because we lack a sound mind, due to the fact that we're allowing fear, hate, strife, judgment to come into play, and our sound mind at that point, it's not working very well. And if we're not operating from that sound mind and we're following that crowd, then we're going to end up in the same, let's say, destination that you're going to end up. And that is a destination that's contrary to the lifestyle and the actual life that you desire to live and that you were called to live. And you will find that you're going to find it very difficult to follow through on your purpose. You're going to find it very difficult to acknowledge that you have certain gifts. And so you're going to downplay your gifts and you won't get to where it is you desire to be. And then you become a part of that group that finds something wrong with everything. Now, before I talk a little bit about love, there's one more thing I want to say about power. If you actually end up going in that direction and you're finding something wrong with everything, listen, we are humans. But again, your power allows you to self-correct. It allows you to get back on the right track. It allows you to seek additional information when you connect it to your sound mind, and it allows you to seek the right information. And the power in you is going to say, yes, this is the right information, not the negative stuff, not the stuff that causes strife, not that kind of thing where it's always causing a problem. All right, so let's talk a little bit about love before we wrap up. What I want to say to you about love is, because the Bible tells us that God is love. Love allows you to overcome events that, caused you grief, caused you stress. Love allows you to overcome those events. It allows you to overcome the kinds of events that take you in a direction that's counter to who you were designed to be. And at that point, you're not happy, and you're just a sad person, and you don't, sometimes you know why, and sometimes you don't know why. And sometimes you just want to stay in it. So love allows you to get beyond these things. Now, the other thing, it's about the love that you have for yourself, but it's also about giving love. When you can learn how to give love to other people, some of the issues that you have, if you have any, that's preventing you from succeeding, some of those, they will start to dissolve, and you will begin to see yourself in a completely different light. You will begin to remind yourself that, yes, I am built by design to win. Now, here's another thing about love. Okay, so the Bible tells us that perfect love casts out fear. So here's the thing, whether you're giving love, whether you have the ability to receive love from someone, the more you can amplify the love that's in you, the less afraid you're going to be. The less afraid you're going to be, the more successful you are going to be. And I'll give you an example. When it comes to running a business, a lot of the people that I've coached, I find that sometimes fear, it pops up. So we have to deal with that. And we work together and we deal with it. So the thing about this, though, is that when they have this fear, and they find out, okay, wait a minute, I'm actually doing something I love. So when you start doing something you love and you can acknowledge that, and that thing that you love, it is, well, part of your calling. And so now at some point, you're no longer thinking about yourself. You're thinking about, who can I serve? How can I serve? Who can I help? Okay, how can I deliver this product or service in a way that it will benefit this target market that I've chosen? So love goes across the board. It makes you a better person. So it will improve your relationships throughout your life. It will improve your health throughout your life. It will improve, well, your wealth, especially if you're running a business. And even if you're not running a business, there are other things that you can do that will improve your wealth. We're not going to go into that today, but as I share more information, we're going to get into all of that. This is kind of like my re-entry back onto YouTube. And so I thought, you know what, let me explain this whole power, love, and sound mind thing. Because if you read the description for this YouTube page, I do quote that scripture. And I wanted you to understand that that has everything to do, well, with everything you're going to do and what you are doing in your life. I sometimes see people that are actually on YouTube, and we're going to kind of wrap up on this. And they're full of criticism, and they criticize people who are doing things and perhaps that are not pleasant to watch. Okay. And they criticize these people, and they condemn these people, instead of recognizing that, you know what, everything has a point of origin. In other words, if someone is behaving in a tacky, classless way that pretty much comes across as debauchery, so if they're behaving like that, okay, if you want to call it what it is, or as you see it, you can do that. But at the same time, imagine what would happen if those people were taught something different in the name of love, because you cared enough to educate them instead of condemning them. Remember, perfect love casts out fear. People behave irrationally, in a classless way, in a tacky way, because they're operating from a position of fear, and they're doing whatever it takes to make someone notice them, or they think that this is going to make someone care about them. For example, some of the things that women do, they do these things because they want to please some guy because of confidence issues or self-esteem issues, or they're going through something at that point in time, and that person came into their life at a point of weakness. And so the point that I'm making is perfect love casts out fear. Loving others actually helps them to become more healthy, helps them to understand that they are built by design to win, and who they are and how they're made. And this is not who they were called to be. So with that being said, you can love, power, sound mind, power, love, sound mind, love, power, however you want to say it. All three of these can work together to help each and every person produce the magnificent life that they desire to live. And if you're listening to this and you say, well, I don't really, care, my life, it's okay. I mean, it is what it is. If that's how you're thinking, then I want you to understand that you've not connected to your power. So I want to encourage you to take the time to do that. Listen, I'm going to be bringing you more on YouTube, and I will see you guys on screen. And we're just going to have some fun with all of this, stepping into our power, the power that we have, igniting it, bringing it to the forefront, and using it to be our best. And with that being said, I want you guys to remember that you are here to do life with power. And please understand that you are built by design to win.